Here we'll take a look at our first example of the law of sines. If you look at example number 1, you notice it first of all says solve triangle ABC. And if you recall from our previous lessons, whenever it said to solve the triangle, what we were really doing is trying to find all the missing parts. Now, in this particular problem, we actually drew the triangle for you and labeled all the given parts. In other problems, you may be required to do that for yourself. So just get in the habit of being able to draw the triangle and label everything correctly. Now, you can see that we have 2 given angles and 1 given side. The nice thing about having 2 given angles is you can easily come up with a third with your interior angle postulate, since they all equal to 180 degrees. Now, once you figure out that third angle, we can then start to fill in the parts of the law of sines that we have available to us. And if you notice in the highlighted part, it says that in this process that we should have one of the 3 ratios complete. And you notice that 26 over the sine of 28 is a completed ratio. Now, if you wrote the sine values on top and the side values in the bottom of the ratio, that's perfectly fine. Either way will work. Now, I need to solve for side A and I need to solve for side C, and we can't really do this simultaneously. So what we've done here is we've actually separated this into 2 completely separate problems. One solving for A and then the other one solving for C separately, each using the ratio in the middle for us. And you can see from the work down below how we would do the cross multiplication and then divide both sides by sine of 28 to get A and C by itself, and then we'll get the approximate value of both A and C. So we found the missing angle and we found the 2 missing sides. So that is probably familiar to what you did last year in geometry. Very straightforward. Not a little tricky, no trickiness in there, no hurdles to jump over, just straight solving proportions. So let's go to the first sample problem. So if you haven't already, take a second to work sample problem number 1 and come back and look at the solution. Okay, what I've done here is I've taken the information from the problem and I've created a visual. Now, in this particular visual, what I elected to do is I kind of color-coded it for myself so I can always kind of remind myself what it is that I'm trying to accomplish here. In the red, I've got the given information. I've drawn the blue is what I'm looking for. Now, the very first thing I see is I have 2 angles. So the third angle ought to be very easy to come up with. If I subtract those 2 angles from 180 degrees, I will get 26 degrees for the measure of angle A. So the measure of angle A is 26 degrees. That's the first missing part that I'm dealing with. And so that should be pretty straightforward there. Now, taking all the information that I have, I can set up the law of sines. I'm going to go ahead and set up the law of sines now. Okay, so you can see here, and I've kept with the color coding just so it's easier to see the parts it's missing. This isn't required, obviously. We just trying to keep it easy to understand. I filled in all the parts that I have available to me in the triangle, or that I came up with, and I'm left with the A and the B that I'm trying to solve for. Now, as we'd expect with the law of sines, one of our ratios was completely filled in, and that's the ratio that we're going to use to solve the other 2 individual parts. So the sine of 36 over 14 is the ratio that I'm going to use to create 2 completely separate proportions. So we're going to finish solving for A and B by working 2 separate proportion problems. So I'm going to go ahead and set those up now. Okay, so I've set up the 2 proportion problems, and these are separate problems that I'm going to use to find A and B. I'll go ahead and work each of those individually, and you can check your steps to see how you did on these 2 parts. Okay, now I've worked each of these down to where I have A and B individually, and so I need to actually get the approximate value of A. Now this is where we're going to take advantage of our calculator. With our calculator we can set these up fairly simple. So let's take a look at how this is going to work out on the calculator. So if I go to my calculator, the way I'm going to start this is I'm actually going to use the template with the fraction template. So I'm going to hit Control and then the division sign, which is going to give me the fraction template. Then I'm going to take 14 and then I'm going to go into the trig, and then we're going to get 26. And that should give us our answer all in one fell swoop. So by using the fraction template and separating our numerator and denominator right off the bat, it makes inputting this a lot easier, and you don't have to worry about using parentheses and such with the division symbol. So approximately 10.4 would be our answer for side A. And if you do side B on the calculator, you'll see it's roughly 21.0. Now, I rounded to 21.0 because it rounded up to that, and by leaving it as 0.0, I'm showing that that's a rounded value. If it were exactly 21, if the division gave me exactly 21, then at that point I would not put the 0.0. So that's why we use the 0.0 there.